Testing, testing. Hmm. This is a bummer. I thought I had it all going. Oh, you can hear me now? Okay, cool. Um, Hello. How's it going? This is cool. I didn't, I guess I didn't watch it from the other end. Um, yeah, it's cool to see you too. I gotta switch out of this one because it's delayed. I'm gonna see myself delayed. Um, yeah, it's cool to see that you logged in. I really appreciate that. Uh, this is like the first actual attempt at putting something out that you know is worthy of watching. I've done a lot of like test ones, but yeah, it's this is going to be a cool adventure. I've been working on this show for like probably 2 or 2.5 years at this point, and I've just kept like editing and writing and editing, and then there was life thrown in the mix. Um, but I have enough free time available to me that I'm able to try to make this a thing, and hopefully, I don't know. It's not so much. Well, turning it into a career would be a good thing. Yeah, life is rude, um, but also life is rude. But that doesn't mean we need to roll with that rudeness. It's more of like that didn't come out right, but don't like make lemonade kind of thing. But yeah, life just be fucking things up for people. Um, yeah, but so I've just been working on this podcast, and the name of the show is Unnaturally Dying of Natural Causes. And the reason that I came up with that name was because, like, on obituaries involving death by overdose or suicide, the cause of death is often listed as something natural, like they died in their sleep, they had a stroke or a heart attack. Um, that's an unnatural way of getting there. The root cause of those problems are often related to mental health, and people look to find roundabout ways of describing the situation. And due to the stigma that has been attached to the whole topic, mental illness is just simply viewed as like a shameful or moral failing. And I'm here to try to extinguish the flames of stigma that seem to burn a lot of people. And it's been in a lot of shit. And um, I'm still here for a reason. You know, um, I'm not necessarily sure. You know how I I'm still here, but I just know that I am, and it's hopefully, um, hopefully I'll be able to reach people, um, like kids that went to alternative schools or something, to that effect, where it's like, you know, um, think about it, like if our wounds, were open bleeding wounds, right, instead of like emotional ones, and if we were just going around and just sort of squirting blood on people, that would be unacceptable. And with you know trauma scars, I view it a similar way, that it's like, um, it's the equivalent. I was doing the equivalent of bleeding all over everybody around me, um, because I couldn't handle my own shit, didn't know what was going on, you know. So yeah, you know, it's apparently yeah, poetic. I've been told that I think in poems and stuff like that. And, um, you know, I just think the interesting thing for me is that I'm still alive. First and foremost, I think that's pretty first and foremost, is just the fact that I'm still here. And you know, I mean, I have to make the most of the time that I have available. And you know, just the where did that go? I had notes and everything. There we go. This podcast is meant to be an inside look into living with BPD, PTSD, and other associated mental illnesses, covering the ups and downs, the ins and outs of being a duly diagnosed person trying to navigate society and a healthcare system ill equipped for our success. We'll also dive into how mental illness, homelessness, and the criminal justice system interact with each other. Take an honest look at how our own behaviors contribute to our overall happiness and success, or lack thereof. We advocate for keeping a healthy sense of humor during even the toughest moments. There will be a lot of self-snitching and stories where I'm clearly not the good guy, but it's all in an attempt at transparency. I've messed up plenty for all of us. The goal is to push the point that it's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay, but having a problem and doing nothing about it is not. This show comes with a huge trigger warning. The show will have stories that include homelessness, violence, self-harm, sexual assault, and stories about suicidal ideation and attempts. When we do cover these topics, we will make sure to include warnings prior to going into detail. I look forward to hearing back from the listeners so we can build a community and a conversation with the goal of helping to further extinguish the flames of stigma which has burned us all. Please feel free to reach out and share your thoughts and or experiences dealing with mental health issues as either the affected person or a loved one / even like a victim of one's mental illness. Whether you are the diagnosed person or on the other end, we welcome you into the conversation. Ending the stigma means having hard, honest conversations so we might all better understand ourselves and others to work towards a happy, healthier, more inclusive society. You know, and I've been an outcast, you know, and you know, but I don't feel so alone when I've heard the following stats. It's an unfortunate reality, but roughly 20% of Americans, or just below 60 million people, have a diagnosable mental illness. Over 770,000 people are homeless on any given night, and 1.8 million people are incarcerated in the correctional facilities across the country. Now, there's three basic facts about what we're here to talk about: the state of mental health, homelessness, and the criminal justice system, or as I like to refer to them as the big three. But who am I? Hi, my name is Eric. I'm in my late 30s. I'm diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which going forward would just be referred to as BPD. I've also got ADHD, complex PTSD, and the associated anxiety and depression, and I've been on medication since around the ages of 5 or 7 years old. I've been hospitalized around 20 times. I've been in a coma several times as a direct result of attempts at, shall we say, self-unaliving. I've been arrested over 10 times, sent to jail 5 to 6 times. I've been homeless in many different states and had a pretty rough childhood. Now, all these issues led me to be so utterly broken and depressed that I seriously attempted to take my own life around 10 times. While I am still nowhere near to close to perfect, I have done a lot of work to get to where I am today, and for the most part, I think that I'm doing okay. And here's my story, or at least the broad strokes. I was born in Massachusetts, but moved around a bunch when I was younger. Lived in New York, both upstate and down on Long Island, but moved back to Massachusetts for sixth grade, and that's where I consider myself to have grown up. I've always been a bit weird. There are a bunch of circumstances that came together to exacerbate the underlying mental illnesses that I was born with. I had a few concussions in my youth, and you know, the science about CTE is out there now, and it shows a direct link between head trauma and mental illness. When I was in kindergarten or first grade, I was molested on several occasions. Unfortunately, it was by other children, but the one that was most often involved had told me that her father told her that that's how you show someone that you love them. To this day, it haunts me for my own pain, but also for them. And I hope they're doing okay. But I didn't fully process the ramifications of what that sentence meant until I was in my late 20s. Now, those times were blocked out for years. However, it did set into motion the gears of destruction in my mind. Even though it wasn't front and center of mind, it absolutely contributed to the negative ways in which I wind up interacting with the world. All I ever wanted to do was make friends and make people laugh, and the reality was that I didn't know how to process everything that was going on, so I wound up coming off as, super hyper, lost, definitely offensive. And as I became further entrenched in my darkness, I would often try to be offensive for shock value. Moving around as a kid didn't really help. It was a hard time for me to relax. ADHD is a motherfucker, and the anxiety was crippling. I am an only child of a single mother, and not having a dad really messed me up. I can only imagine how hard it was for my mom. I definitely had behavioral issues for most of my life, but I also had a lot of trauma that was not apparent, which contributed to the situation. I do know for sure that it was hard for her, and I know that she did her best, essentially having to fill the role of both parents and the role her position required at work. Rough times doesn't mean I went hungry or didn't have a place to live. It was more emotionally rough times. I think that it's just a difference of approach to life and other factors that I don't really care to guess at. But anyway, I don't know when it started, but self-loathing has seemingly always been there. The need to have friends is something that everyone feels, but most people don't have like the need for approval from others. In retrospect, the constant need for approval partially stems from the very strict and punitive ways in which I was, punished or corrected by my mom. Bullying was a huge part of my childhood, and being the new kid brought bullying. The twisted part is I was often seeking the approval of the people who were the bullies, a thing which would wind up becoming a pattern in my life. I just felt like I couldn't escape the bullying and the feeling scared, and eventually I just became a menace. How am I doing, Tanya? Cool, thank you. I've got my friend right here. I'm not sure if I should make him the mascot or something. Um, oh yeah. I've also got these squirrel underpants. Once I heal up from my injuries, I'm gonna put these on a squirrel. I promise. Um, cool. He does not have a name yet. I was thinking, we could go for audience feedback. Edgar, Edgar the gnome. Yeah, that works. That's cool. I like that. We got Edgar the gnome. But let's see here. So it says I have two viewers. I wonder if the other viewer is me. Um, when I talk like this, does it sound like I need water? Help me. I need water. All right. Getting back to getting back to this. It would take me until much later in life to realize that some of the times when I felt like I was being bullied, people weren't exactly mocking me. They were more trying to like bring me in, or at least at the very least trying to bring me into the part of the conversation, and giving me a chance to be a part of, and not understanding the difference between, or rather, not perceiving a difference between the like actual bullying and the like between friends kind of deal. Um, but it would take me until much later in life to realize that there were many times that people were just looking to that they were just trying to have me be a part of things because I was near the new kid or whatever, and so between those things, I just didn't catch it. Now, there were many times that people were just looking to make fun of me. As a fact, I was attacked a few times in middle school and my freshman year in high school. But it's the times when I overreacted that would cast me out of potential friends. No one wants to be around that. And at the end of my freshman year in high school, a lie was told to school administration regarding a threat of violence. This never happened. I had witnesses to confirm. However, I did go to a study hall, which had been moved to the cafeteria, sign in, sign out, and go to the AV lab because I was making a video in the AV lab. And so I was just kind of doing nerd shit. You know what I mean? I was cutting together a video I had made of, I was doing like a monster truck rally commercial with the old VHS like camcorder, and I was outside in the driveway of my mom's house with like these toy monster trucks, and so I was working on that video. So the truth that I was unable to be found, and the lie that I had done something, allowed for them to be able to just basically, oh, he must have done this, we can't find him. I mean, in all fairness, I had been in a fair amount of trouble for like general mischief that year and pretty much every other year that I was in that school system. So since they already viewed me as like a rascal, this lie was given even further weight. Now, without even a single piece of proof, this lie resulted in me being on probation for 2 years, also adhering to a strict restraining order, which laid out stipulations that I had to stay 200 yards away from the individual who brought forth the complaint. This meant that I would need to leave the mall or like wherever I was. Now, thankfully, that never, actually became a real life issue, but it just made, the alienation feeling just intensify because I didn't do this thing, and now it's like, wait, so because this person can just make da 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 up, make this stuff up and whatever that, and no inquiry. I mean, I had witnesses to confirm that I didn't, you know, do what was being alleged, and it just didn't matter, and that really made me feel pretty shitty. I had been known as a rascal, class clown, ADHD guy, but I don't think that I was ever viewed as dangerous. Like I was saying, I was attacked a few times during middle school and high school, and so like I'm not really a fan of then dishing that out at this time. Um, but this situation truly changed my image, whatever it was, into one of this monster of a person, which added speed and momentum to those gears of destruction in my head. The alienation was crushing. It added to the self-loathing and feeling worthless. And I wound up becoming the very thing I was telling people that I wasn't. I did not handle things the right way. I wound up becoming very unpredictable to others and myself. And, there were times that did become violent, and I have to live with the mistakes I've made. I have, no issues with that. I should feel shame about it because it's not a good thing, but we can't always fix things from the past, but we can apologize and move forward, and we can make sure that we do not do that shit again. Anyway, but this whole experience wound up meaning no more normal high school experience for me. I had to go to an alternative school since I couldn't be at the regular school. My first year at that alternative school was by far the best year of school ever. I earned the best grades I'd ever achieved. I had the highest GPA in the school, made of students whom went on to become successful doctors, professors, and other high-level professional careers. School turned out to be the best thing that could have happened. I was in a setting where I could thrive academically. It allowed me to meet some of the best people that I have ever met, and you guys will meet some of these people in the future episodes. These people also had to cope with rough childhoods, and some of them said they'll be here to share their stories. But my demons were starting to break loose, and then I started mixing drugs and alcohol into my life. Gonna pause there. How's it going, Edgar? Yelling with that. I remember in high school you'd sometimes get. Oh yeah, that's fair. This is why it's awesome to have you as a viewer. And um, what was that thing? We can't. I don't want to say the person's name, but oh yeah. Like, hey man, how's it going? I've got I got money and I got a car. You trying to hang out? Hold on one second. I gotta get this strap off here. Yes, that's the guy. Um, I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to say that, but um, yeah. But it's wild to me that 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 you're that I'm able to have the first time I'm doing this script live, to have somebody who was there. And yeah, I mean, looking at those kinds of situations are like, well, hey man, you definitely really overreacted there. I think there's probably 1,000 ways that could have been handled better. And a lot of these things didn't click until I was older. um and so getting back into this, um I started smoking cigarettes at age 14. I started using drugs and alcohol around 15. Once I found out that drugs make you feel good, the goal was to make sure I was always able to be inebriated in one way or another. As someone once told me that if I liked how I feel doing one amount, then wouldn't you love the way you feel if you took twice as much? And I was like, you know what? Now that you mention it, that does make a lot of sense. Because if you give me a little bit of ice cream, that's nice. But if you give me even more ice cream, then that's just a wonderful thing. This is also around the time when the symptoms of my BPD and PTSD really started presenting. I would wind up getting kicked out of that alternative school right after the April vacation of my junior year. And this time it absolutely was my fault. Due to a number of different reasons, home life with mom had become untenable. I was a fucking menace. Just the best way to describe it. But the more I messed around and messed up because of drugs and alcohol, the worse my symptoms got. Then the more strained the relationship with my mom got. Then she started trying to be even more strict to like overcompensate it. But then I was escalating the defensiveness to match her energy. It just did not work. And so I tried to like live out on my own during high school. Stayed at a hotel for a week. That week before the April vacation of my junior year, I stayed at a hotel and just was messed up the whole week. And I was crashing on friends' couches and just trying to stay away from my mom, but it wasn't very successful because I was a teenager and didn't know how to do anything, differently. But I got kicked out of that school because I was just fucking up big time. Poor performance, poor attitude, poor decision making. I wound up back in a situation where I needed to find a different school to go attend. I fervently pleaded to be allowed back at the original high school, and then the school district, the special education team, and then my mom and I were able to come to an agreement on the terms of my return to that original school. It was going to be my senior year. I wanted to be able to have the ability to attend the prom, be able to spend time with the kids that I'd been friends with since sixth grade. I wanted the eligibility to try out for the baseball team. So they allowed me. And despite being excited about being allowed to go back to the main school, the issues in my head and at home did not change. Unable to quantify the issues, unable to speak on my demons, things continued to unravel. I continued to unravel. I was using drugs and alcohol on a daily basis. My behavior had gotten so out of control that within the first few months of starting my senior year, I had to withdraw from school for I think about 2 weeks and attend a daily outpatient treatment program for teenagers with mental health and addiction issues. This was my first interaction with that level of care. I'd been seeing a therapist for basically my whole life and a psychiatrist, but to have to withdraw from school was a whole other thing. I was crushed that this was becoming my life. Sadly, it would not be much longer until things would start precipitous. It would not be much longer until things would start precipitously deteriorating. After graduation, I worked a full time job and hung out with my friends. And as friends and classmates of mine were preparing to go away to school or join the military, I was just happy that school was over. I love learning things and feel that we should always be learning new things and working on bettering ourselves. I just did not have a good high school experience. Graduation had been in May of 2004, and on one side of the coin, graduation took away a major source of the issues in my life. But on the other hand, graduation also took away the only real structure I had ever known. My first major overdose was in August of 2004, just a few months after graduation. It was looking bad. It was looking really bad. It was very close to death, and there was a priest that was there to read the last rites, should that be what needed to happen. But because the nurses and doctors worked their magic, I was able to survive the situation that I put myself in. And I was hospitalized for the first time as a result of this situation, both medically, but then it became a psychiatric hold. I had been using nonstop. I was regularly using whatever was available whenever it was available, without any regard or knowledge really to the ways that drugs and alcohol might react with one another. So I wound up taking what I would later find out was a lethal combination of drugs. I was accidentally given the wrong bag of drugs. Um, a friend was buying drugs, and some of us ordered cocaine, and others ordered speedballs. And I was just trying to buy cocaine. I did not get just cocaine. At the hospital, they did a tox screen. I tested positive for most of the drugs that they were testing for. Now, because quote no healthy person ingests the amount or combination of drugs that I had, they said that I couldn't leave because I needed to be seen by a psychiatrist. And, they were right, because no healthy person ingests the amount of drugs or the combination of drugs that I was. But I wound up being involuntarily admitted into an inpatient psychiatric facility, and it was a real wake up call. In 2005, I began to look at life a bit more seriously and realistically, gaining an understanding that the course of my life was now fully in my hands. Growing up, I always had great admiration for the military as a whole, but specifically for the United States Marine Corps. So I went and started speaking to both Army and Marine recruiters, and in November of 2005, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps' delayed entry program. I was all about it. Now, except for the daily cough medicine that I was using for medical reasons, I had stopped doing drugs and smoking weed and was running multiple times a day. And, and then in March of 2006, I wound up being deployed to boot camp that did not turn out to be what I was hoping it would be. Or rather, I did not perform in ways that I was hoping to have performed. And I had a good amount of difficulty, specifically in the very beginning, adapting to things after several knee issues plagued my time there, and I wound up being discharged and sent home, dejected and delighted at the same time. I'm still haunted daily by the fact that this dream was gone and that I wasn't able to complete it. However, um, you know, seeing how things wound up turning out over there, and knowing the people that I do that have been there, and have done things, it's probably for the best that I didn't do that because, um, you know, I care about people. I just, for the most part, I want everybody to be well and work together and, um, pause it there. Yeah. Um, so, all right. So Scott, the reason, one of the reasons, I think the final straw, there was a fight between myself and one of the teachers during a basketball game. Um, but then it was, I forget which was first, but then I wrote like on a piece of paper, I got a shiv and I know how to use it. And, because Scott was in the gym that you could see from the classroom that had the glass window there, and no, not Sean, it was Will. He kept throwing really hard fouls, and like he was getting real elbow happy underneath the what do they say, like in the paint or whatever. So I was like, hey man, if you don't stop throwing elbows at me, I'm gonna throw you into the wall. And he did it two more times, and then he was a bit of a weirdo, yeah. And I was like, dude, if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to put you into the wall. And then that happened. Um, yeah, but I forgot to take the paper out of the wall, or off of the glass, and went home, and apparently there was like a kids basketball practice or game or something, and somebody saw that there was a message in the windows saying, I have a shiv and I know how to use it. So that didn't go well. um it would be cool if well, I guess that would be Zoom, that people can like all hop on. That'd be interesting. But after boot camp, despite having just spent several months away from smoking cigarettes and drinking, doing drugs, within an hour or two of being a free man, so to speak, I was doing all three of those things. Within 3 months of my discharge, I had earned my first adult arrest. The next 8 to 10 years were just a constant stream of drugs, homelessness, jails, institutions, death. I was in and out of the psych ward, half day programs, and residential programs. It was the Newton Boys and Girls Club. Yeah, it was so bad. I was just like, when they talked to me about it, I was like, oh yeah, like I can see how that's a problem, you know. But that's all right. Everybody, everybody makes mistakes. Let's see. Um, let's jump back into this real quick. Oh, but so, where are you at these days? Well, I guess you don't have to answer that in the chat, but I think it might just be us. Oh, nice. Are you guys? Did you guys have any trouble from like the recent weather stuff? Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Is everybody? Okay, you got me. Got him. Got him. 1 inch of flurries. Oh no, this thing stopped recording. That's all right. Oh, that's cool. That doesn't surprise me that you work in the school system. What is your function? What do you do there? And when you say 2 days, oh yeah, that makes sense. You definitely, I can see you being great at it. Just having known you from then, that that's really cool. I yeah, I'm really proud of you. It's great to see. I've reached out to some people, and um, it's just great to or even just see on Facebook whenever I go on there. It's very rare, but um, it's just great to hear how people have been doing. And yeah, you just love to see it. Now, where did that go? That is the wrong script. Um, all right, so here we go. I'm gonna try to jump back into this. So, um, close this one. Um, so I was in and out of the psych ward, half-day programs, and residential programs. Due to my instability and the amount of times that I've had to start over, I've had over 40 different jobs, lived in several states, and have no long-term friends in the sense that like people that I have, you know, been seeing all over the, over these years, and where I've been able to be seen, and that's one of the big shame things for me, is that the people that meant so much, I mean that people grow apart, but I mean it's hard. It has been hard for me to um, then reflect on myself. I'm able to be happy for everybody that has done well, and then it's just sort of like, all right, well, man, let's figure out our issues. But maybe I had to go through all of the shit that I have been through and decisions that I have made, which wound up causing situations I've been through. But maybe it was to be able to then package it up and bring it to people to, learn something from. Self-loathing has been one of the main drivers of my negative thoughts and has been my undoing repeatedly. Love has also been a source of happiness, and also click that. Love has been the source of both the happiest I've ever been and also the saddest I've ever been. The hard truth was, sometimes really is, that I can't really stand myself, nor did I have the ability to be comfortable with time alone. So I sought out validation from external sources. I've handled a lot of situations very poorly. We can get into that later, as I know that there are a lot of people who may benefit from learning from the mistakes and harm that I've done. I would find myself homeless, in and out of psych facilities, literally dead, and often spending time in jail or detox centers run by the Department of Massachusetts and Massachusetts and Florida Department of Corrections. I have many thoughts on the criminal justice system as a whole, and the term Department of Corrections is just ridiculous. Not only do I have an issue with it on a semantics level, but an issue on the way that things are run. But that's a topic for another day. The things that we go through are not always our doing, and we need to learn how to deal with the mess left afterwards, and to hold on to the fact that even if we make choices which lead to our traumatic events, such as I have, that we are not our pasts. Now, what I mean by that is, like, there are a lot of situations where I made a bunch of negative choices that then put me into certain situations that I would then have traumatic symptoms from afterwards. But this podcast, I'm aiming to be accountable and honest. I'm not speaking on anyone else's experiences, just my own. There are a lot of situations that wound up being very traumatic. However, there was a lot of those situations where I had ample red flags being waved that should have signaled, dude, it's time to leave. Whether it be a relationship, a job, a friendship, life circumstances. Bottom line is that there are a lot of times when I have gotten myself involved in scenarios that did not need to happen because of self-loathing, lack of self-esteem, and other topics that we will cover on the show. Ending the stigma means hard work is ahead of us. It means having honest conversations with ourselves about things that are terrible to think about, things that have burned and scarred us. But by being vulnerable, we open ourselves to making progress, and it can show others that vulnerability isn't a four-letter word, that it might be the best way to free ourselves from emotional torment. Using a combination of the trauma of my lived experience and the hilarity of, and absurdity of things that I've done and seen, my ability to tell a story. I'm hoping to make you laugh, but I mean, you might cry and do some soul searching. One of the important things I do hope to do is to spark conversations on the way we treat ourselves and each other. Get people to no longer feel shame about getting help. I'm still on this planet for a reason. Despite many attempts at checking out, I am here. I believe that I'm here to be able to use my experience to help others. I believe that all people that deserve I feel that all people deserve to be happy, respected, and left alone. We all need to try and work together. Things are getting really crazy out there, but hopefully we can all find a way to make ourselves just a little bit healthier, and then find a way to quiet the demons within ourselves, and then it'll make community building easier if we all just handle our shit. We're going to have well researched topics and hard hitting conversations around various weekly topics with people who have lived it and hear how they have navigated those waters. 10, 10 years ago was the beginning of the transformations I was making, but the major portion of the changes happened just in the last few years. I had to go through 2 years of DBT and 2 years of anger management in order for me to finally be able to figure out what my fucking problem was. DBT was one of the best things that I've ever done for myself and also for the world at large. I was a menace, but now I'm a little bit better. I can still be a menace though. But the better we know our enemy, the better capable we become at defending against its power, its efficacy at messing up our lives. I hope to not sound as if I think the way that I do things is the only way someone with similar issues can get better or should do anything. I'm not here to push one treatment or another. We will discuss different options that are out there and how they've helped me, or when we have guests on, people might be able to share what things have worked for them. But this show is for information and entertainment purposes only. I am not a mental health care professional. You should speak with your medical or mental health care team about anything discussed on this show that you wish to pursue. I'm just trying to show people what my life was like and how my mind used to work, leading me to a life of destruction and filth. To share what I've learned and understanding where I've gone wrong and how to make better choices the next time. Acknowledging where we've gone wrong and apologizing for it should not be viewed as a sign of weakness. I'll tell you what's a sign of weakness: the inability to take accountability. So many people seem to think that everything is a competition, even basic conversations or interactions with people we may never even see again. I'm not used to think that way. I think for me it came from a place of needing to try and control something, anything. As my world was crumbling, my ego was calving from my mind. I was just a loose cannon and would fall victim to the urges to lash out and take control. When we are wronged, we all want to hear the offender apologize for the thing that they did to us. It's a completely understandable feeling to have. I hate to use a cliche, but we really do need to be the change we wish to see in the world. The more we are able to be accountable for ourselves, the more willing others might become to reciprocate those actions. Take a break there. Yeah, I would love to have you on as a guest. That would be great. Um, Especially since now you're, you know, well, just in general, I'm not sure what any kind of qualifications are not needed. It would be great to just talk to you, like, you know, in general. But yeah, no, that I would like that. Um, and thank you. I appreciate the. Oh yeah, no. So there's already like a bunch written out. It was just a matter of like, okay, I need it to be perfect and all this other stuff. But like, it doesn't. I just need to get it out there. I've just been running in circles. At that's what it winds up becoming, is I'm just running around in circles and being like, oh, I should do this and do that and the other thing. And it's like, well, just put it out there. Um, Oh, cool. And then this is the last chapter of the first one here. All right, where are we at? 8:51 time mark at 8:51. Um, Timestamp. Now that I have a pretty good handle on myself and my emotions, I hope to affect change in the ways that mental health is viewed by society, how it's legislated. We need to push for better legal protections with the local, state, and federal systems. Now, while we will do our best to remain an apolitical podcast, avoiding party politics on the whole, we will be discussing policies as they intersect with our primary purposes. Maybe we can form a coalition of mental wellness and try to speak for those who are still sick or in the throes of addiction, homeless, or in and out of the system. A coalition to make sure that we do our best to prevent people from unnaturally dying of natural causes. Nope, let's do that one again. A coalition to help make sure that we do our best to prevent people from unnaturally dying of natural causes. Now, it seems like a good place to wrap up for the broad stroke history. And, I'd like to adopt the phrase here, MOFO. And I like to think of it as an acronym, making our future ours. We have no control over the past, but our futures are in our hands, and it's up to us to make the most of the time we are granted. We must find the motivation to continuously move forward towards wellness, utilizing local resources and our community here to keep our heads on as straight as possible. Helping others is a huge component of getting and staying well. However, we must only be helping people as far as our level of wellness will allow us. If helping others comes at the expense of our own well-being, then we are ultimately netting zero positives. Individually, we are stronger when we have well-established, healthy boundaries, and the healthier we are as individuals, then the healthier our society can become. Just know that you are loved and we need you here. Please reach out for help if you need it. And remember, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have a problem, but it's not okay to have a problem and ignore it. Let's go ahead, buckle up, and make our future ours. Please take care of yourselves and look out for others. If you or someone that you know is struggling, please get some help. If you exhausted all of your coping skills and you can't get back into a calm state of mind, then please call your therapist or your local psychiatric emergency number or the National Suicide Prevention Hotline or any of the other resources that you'll find in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Let's see. So that's the first episode. Yeah, we can do a video chat. I just got to save this one here. Hey! Um, can you send me an email address? And then I can send you a Zoom. You can do it through Messenger if you don't want to put it on this. I don't know if this gets saved or not. It's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, that works too. Zoom is so 2007. Well, I'm an old man, all right? I go out and shake my fist at the sky once a day. Oh, well, I don't. I do not have Skype. I don't think I do. But yeah, we can do. Allegedly. Oh, I'm 86. I'm 112 years old. I'm like I'm like 158, I think, at this point. Not quite sure. All the years have ran together at this point, just because of the cobwebs up in my brain. Um, let's see here. All right, I'm gonna. I sent a message on. Yeah, I'm like 275 years old. I age in an odd way. It's just the way I am these days. You got to live life on the edge. Yeah, I'm like 20 epochs old. Um, when I talk like this, does it sound like I'm a different person? No, stay alive. Live, damn it! Live! Hold on, let's see if I can do this. Yeah. Whoa, man, what's happening? Glitchy, really? That's not good. Like all of a sudden? Is it any better? There's a sci-fi sound. Oh, that's weird. I'm gonna just turn this. So I can end this stream if you want to. We can do a video chat. I'm just not sure how.